You're so ugly, you could be a modern art masterpiece. I think that's what you're saying to me, son.
I'm not saying you're ugly. You got nice features. It's just very square. Just square as fuck. It's actually kind of like a Ripley's Believe It or Not type deal. Really is what it is.
How square my head is?
It's not like an insult or a compliment. It's really just a body of fact. You know, your fucking head is a cube.
Like if you get the tape measure out, it's like, fuck, look at those 90-degree angles.
Sharp. Your poor mother.
It's a rectangle.
All cubes are rectangles, but not all rectangles are cubes.
That's my point. I think I'm rectangular in the head, but I don't think I'm cubed.
That's, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, to be honest. Your head is a geometric shape, whether it's a fucking rectangle or a cube. It's unnatural.
My head is not unnatural in shape.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes.
When you die, they're going to be taking your skeleton out of your body and just... Your head might get lost in some ruins in the following nuclear apocalypse, and people are going to unearth your skull hundreds of years from now and be like, wow, look at this. This must have been some kind of genetic experiment. They were trying to make some kind of creature that could fit its head into a square hole.
They're not going to try and skull fuck me because of the rectangular shape of my head, do you think?
Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to try to get inside the mind of a hypothetical, futuristic, irradiated wasteland raider, but they might.
I should be prepared for that, obviously.
There is no preparing for getting your skull fucked 200 years in the future by an irradiated mutant wastelander. That's just something that's going to happen if it's going to happen.
And you'd best just relax and let it happen.
Just go ahead and, as you would say, go ahead and wrap your mind around it now, because that's just on the agenda.
A shin show.
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 Imagine you are a CEO at Netflix and I'm getting a meeting. I'm pitching my show.
You got 30 seconds.
3 words.
Elevator pitch.
Futuristic wasteland necrophilia.
Sold.
All right. We are greenlit.
For one season.
I don't have any characters. I don't have any plot. I don't really have any timeline, anything like that. I'm just going to build off that.
Here's your budget of $100 million.
I'm just sick.
All I know for sure is that gets you 13 episodes.
At least. Ooh, Dad, did you know the final season of Castlevania just came out?
The final season of Castlevania?
The whole thing. It's all out on Netflix right now.
Everything has led us here.
Which means we are here for a reason.
We've lost many people to night creature attacks. Will you help us?
I'm sure I can do something for you.
We could take the entire world for our own.
Oh, let me guess.
It decodes as Vlad Dracula Tepesh.
We killed Dracula. And now we have to spend the rest of our lives making sure nobody brings him back from the dead.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, it's fucking good, dude. You should watch it. But
I'm feeling overwhelmed with the amount of media that y'all are asking me to consume.
Yeah, there's just so much good shit. 2020, I will say, aside from the obvious horror that this world has been, there's been a lot of good TV.
What's been your favorite, if you had to pick one?
Like in 2020 or just like recent discovery?
In 2020. I know you like Invincible as a recent discovery, but over 2020, what's been your next favorite one, would you say?
I would say The Boys, but I watched it in 2020. I don't know if it was made. I'm just going to go with Invincible. That's a safe one.
You already went with that. That's the newest one.
Or season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Okay.
I'm not done with that yet.
It's fucking good. And Bill Burr's episode, he really acts.
You and I are nothing alike.
I don't know. Seems to me like your rules start to change when you get desperate. I mean, look at you. You said you couldn't take your helmet off, and now you got a stormtrooper one on. So what's the rule? Is it that you can't take off your Mando helmet, or you can't show your face? Because there is a difference. Look, I'm just saying. We're all the same.
Are you going to Bill Burr? September 15th.
What?
I told you about this.
No, you did not.
Yes,
no,
I
you did.
Yes, I
When did you did? When did you did? When did you did?
I texted you about it. I said, do you want to go? Maybe I texted Sandy.
No, you did not fucking text. I for sure would have been like, yes, let's go to Bill Burr.
Well, it's September 15th, Starlight Theater. So you know Riot Fest, right? In Chicago. It's a 3-day festival of rock music.
In Chicago?
Yes, it originated in Chicago, and then sometimes they have one in Denver.
In Chirac.
My Chemical Romance was supposed to headline in 2020, and then the fucking Panini happened. And 2021, they're like, yeah, we're not doing it. We'll headline next year. So Riot Fest you have 3 options. You can refund your ticket, you can keep your ticket and get a discount on next year's tickets, or you can transfer your ticket from this year to next year.
Those are all fair options.
Yes. Here's my dilemma. Guess who's fucking headlining now?
Who?
9 Inch Nails. There's a bunch of good bands. There's a bunch of shit I listen to.
$1,200.
It was like almost $400 for 2 tickets because it was a 3-day festival.
I've never been to a metal festival. The festivals I had been to, I do remember through the haze that there was like some insane. It was jam bands, really, is what it was.
Oh yeah.
Like Fish.
Like Fish, but not Fish. There's this band called Mouth. I swear to God, I danced for 8 hours straight. 8 hours straight. This dude who used to work with me, whose name was also Nick, he just walked up to me and like looked me up and down, was like, "Make sure you drink a lot of water, bro." And Dave handed me a bottle of water. I drank the whole fucking thing. As soon as he hands it to me, he just threw it on the ground and kept dancing. And this was like, dude, 4 hours into the jam, you think like they're done. You know what I mean? It's like the guitar solo's winding down, and it's just a dude on the guitar and a dude on the drums. I think they're brothers. And it's just like winding down, and then the drums are like, and then they just bam, they keep going, and then we're like, we keep dancing. And then this happened.
I think you were transported to the Fae realm, but keep talking.
This happened for like the 5th, 6th time. They're winding down, and then they go back in, but it's the fucking Cantina song from Star Wars, dude. So you can imagine, me and my buddy Wes just looked at each other, we're like, oh my fucking God. Can you imagine? Now, obviously, I was on many drugs.
Was it hours and hours, or was it really like 2 minutes and it just felt like an eternity?
It was daylight when I went in there, and it was like almost daylight again when I left.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys stepped into a mushroom circle and got transported to the Fae realm. Nice.
And then there's this dude just begging me and Dave to do ketamine with him. We're like, nah, we're good, man. Like, we're tripping pretty hard right now. He's like, come on, dude, I got some good fucking ketamine, man. Come on, please. I'm like, your insistence on us smoking ketamine with you is kind of starting to freak me out a little bit. You know what
You're
I mean?
making my trip take a bad turn, and I prefer to stay on the happy path.
Yeah, it's like, we don't know you. You know what I mean? You don't know us. Like, why do you want these two strangers to smoke drugs with you so bad? Probably because he wanted us to buy some. That was one of those drugs where, like, I heard about it, and I was like, yeah, you know, I think I've done all the different varieties I need to do. I mean, how many different ways of fucked up do you need to get?
That may be the most sensible thing I've ever heard you say, Nick.
Well, yeah. Like, you know, fucking Kratom. Now that you sell it in gas stations, dudes be standing outside gas stations like, we sell Kratom. It will fuck you up. It is a drug. I've heard that it does fuck you up, but I have like absolutely no desire to do it.
That's
So I'm
smart.
like,
A buddy of mine, good friend of mine who you know, Nick, I won't name his name. He has a stepson, who...
this fucking guy. Okay. Yeah. I remember this. Yeah.
He's spending hundreds of dollars a month on Kratom. And his stepdad finds it out because they're providing him financial assistance to pay his rent. And they're looking at his credit card transactions, and it's, hey, you're spending $200 or $300 at a gas station for Kratom a week.
Didn't this dude's life just completely spiral out of control 100%?
To my knowledge, it still is.
Let's get into that a little bit. I mean, it was fun. It was fun tea just to hear this guy completely colossally fuck up his whole life time and time again. And really your buddy also kind of being, well, like, why are you still allowing this to happen? Why are you still choosing to be a part of this?
It's easier to talk about cutting ties with a child than actually cutting ties, that's for sure.
That's his wife's son, right?
Yes. You cut ties with one, you cut ties with both. That's the way it is.
If you cut ties with the kid, you cut ties with wife.
Maybe. Not all the time. I mean, so I don't know. It's not very hard for me to cut off any of my family.
You and I come from a family of addicts and alcoholics. That's one of the reasons I've talked to both you kids many times about the dangers of addiction. You know as well as I do, I don't begrudge anybody any use of substance they want to do. But if you get addicted, don't come to me for money.
Yeah, you have always said that when I was a kid. Here's what I learned from Dad. Addiction is a fake disease, okay? It's not real. Addiction isn't real. You know, you just choose to do that stuff, you know?
That's an interesting take coming from you, Dad.
You could stop at any time. And I said, Dad, that can't be right. I thought addiction was a disease in your brain, a chemical imbalance. And he's like, nope. All of that. And also, all mental illness is fake. That's not real. None of it's real. Depression, anxiety, that's all bullshit.
You never heard any of that from me.
He calls me on the radio. He said that yesterday to me.
That's not true.
Did he on his dial-up telephone?
Yeah, he called me up. I'm like, hey. And
His
he's like,
rotary telephone?
Son, just wanted to let you know that all mental illness is fake, drug addiction's not real, and alcoholism is made up. All right, well, have a great day. Love you. Bye.
Yeah, and I can just get that on a voicemail, and I'm like, yeah, he's probably all right. I don't think I need to call him back. He kind of just summed it all up right there in one phone call. We're probably good for another 6 months.
Yeah, we're good.
That was all obviously not true. What were we talking about, though?
He who shall not be named son.
Well, he doesn't listen to this, does he?
Who knows?
I tell you what, his daughters, I used to babysit them when they were younger, and they was some shit-ass kids. They was some shit-ass kids. I was like, I just wish you were my sister so I could just beat the shit out of you right now, but I can't. I got to, like, play your little mind games. They were fine if, like, for whatever reason, it was just one-on-one, but, like, you get them together and shit-ass kids.
The devil took over when they were together.
That's what happens with little girls. They do rituals and shit and invite demons into their homes and become witches, and they're evil.
Dude, I remember one time, one of them, the younger one, it was right when everyone was leaving or right when everyone had gotten back, and she was just acting like a dumbass and just running around like, you know, really fast in between shit. She just ran into the fucking dining room table like really hard. Right in her fucking stupid little forehead, you know, and it left like a little cut, but it was like kunk, and then she's on the ground, and she's crying, it hurts. Her parents are all, you know, everyone's like, oh, are you okay? It's fine. And then she sees that everyone's coming around, so she like starts convulsing on the ground, like rolling her eyes into their head, and then literally everyone in attendance kind of laughed a little bit. It was like, settle down. Like, she's really trying to milk it.
That little girl is graduating from high school in 2 weeks.
Fuck off.
This memory I have of her, could not have been more than 2 feet tall. I couldn't have been more than 5 feet tall at the time. I was a short and portly young man.
You were short, for sure. Many times we wept together, you and I, son, at an amusement park where you weren't tall enough to get on the ride. We both wept together. And I said to you at that time, son, don't worry, son. Someday you'll be big enough to get on all the rides. Then life's going to be pretty fucking sweet. Remember
and Sarah
that?
was just getting off the fucking mind eraser like, damn, that shit was so sick. That was cool as fuck. And I'm just like, ugly crying, snot coming out of my nose.
Yeah. I remember very distinctly the last time we went to the amusement park in Denver. You were like old. Like 9, and you still couldn't ride shit.
Yeah. No, but I was fat when I was a kid. And as a matter of fact, I have a very distinct memory of my dad pointing at a picture of me I think it's when we went to Hawaii, when I was however old, and he said, look at this picture of you. You look like a beached whale.
That sounds about right.
Like, that's awesome.
Thanks, Dad.
The truth hurts. When you look like a beached whale, you look
Jesus
like a
Christ.
beached whale.
This is why we have body image issues.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. I think I look good. Is that a body image issue?
No, I just remember.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Look, I'm going to encourage this behavior, but I have also been party to the opposite behavior. So,
butt slave, dude. It's not the funniest word ever, but it's,
considering it's a compound phrase, first of all.
Yeah,
it's 2 words. It's 2 words.
That's what a compound phrase is. Yes, 2 words in conjunction.
Is multiple words.
What is two? More than one?
More than 2.
Not necessarily.
No phrase is 2 words.
Fuck you.
You kind of got me there. That is a phrase.
I'm going to have to agree with you there, Sarah. Okay, well, we've cleared that up for sure.
We can go ahead and
move on to the next topic, which is UFOs. So another round of unidentified aerial phenomenon have been identified by the Navy. It now appears that these craft are just a matter of course. We've known about them for years. We have lots of video now of them. We have lots of imagery. And we have tons of eyewitnesses, none of whom are cranks. They're all U.S. naval aviators and officers. When are we going to start thinking, gee, this is something that we should be worried about as a public?
Isn't it so funny that, like, I know this was a fact when you were a kid, Dad, but even when you and me were kids, Sarah, like, if you even talked about aliens in a serious matter, you know, there was like a whole zeitgeist of the tinfoil hattery. There was a whole cultural thing about that if, like, you believed in aliens at all, you were a kook for real. And the government was like, aliens? Are you fucking kidding me? Dumbass. Those aren't aliens. And now it's funny now here in 2021, they're like, it's aliens.
It's hard to keep shit off the internet.
Well, but the thing about the internet is it's easy to fake shit on the internet.
Well,
That's the whole pump the misinformation train.
Yes, it is, but it's also easier to get information.
Misinformation is information.
Okay, it's like an Ouroboros with you.
But I'm not saying anything that's not true. Misinformation is inclusive of information.
You're correct. So the Navy just said, hey, yeah, it's UFO. We don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Probably aliens.
Yeah, but that's like not even new news. They've been doing that for a while now.
Then why is Dad bringing it up?
Because it's a new batch of tapes that they've released. They've released a new batch of tapes, and they've put forward a new witness. So between the new tapes and the new witness, it's just real evident that we know now what these things are. They look like, to the pilots, they look like Tic Tacs. They're drones. There's also been a pyramid-shaped drone. We know they're drones, but what we don't know is how they can move in apparent defiance of the laws of physics.
Imagine a technology that can do 600 to 700 G-forces, that can fly at 13,000 miles an hour, that it can evade radar, and that can fly through air and water and possibly space. And, oh, by the way, has no obvious signs of propulsion, no wings, no control surfaces, and yet still can defy the natural effects of Earth's gravity. That's precisely what we're seeing.
Yeah, Bob Lazar went into great detail about how those things moved in the 80s. But there's no way that we could know that they're drones. There could be something in there because we cannot catch them. We can't get close to them, and they actively scramble radars.
We assume they're drones because they're smaller than fighter aircraft. So we assume that there could be no humanoid creature in there. And that's probably true, no humanoid creature. But there could be tiny creatures in there.
Or gaseous creatures, or we're making assumptions based on our understanding of carbon-based life in this galaxy, in this solar system. Look, already the way they move is beyond explainable science. They don't follow the laws of thermodynamics. They give off absolutely no heat signature, and they can stay in the same place in a vertical or horizontal orientation for ungodly amounts of time. You know, you would have to refuel at some point, you would think, but these things don't.
They move directionally, too, in a way that we can't duplicate. They'll go from 80,000 feet to sea level in a matter of seconds. And under the water as well. So It's incredible that we don't know what they are, and it's frightening, or it could be frightening, if you think these are things that we just don't have control over. And we don't.
We don't. As far as, from what we know, as far as aircraft goes, at least, we are but children in their eyes. Let's just assume these are aliens. I bet they see us in our fucking combustion jets and are like, look at these guys. I wonder if they're impressed for us doing something in such a rudimentary way.
Childlike, if you will.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, look at these monkeys. Oh, isn't it so cool? Look, dude, they made little combustion engines and they fly around.
Cute?
Yeah, dude, that's so crazy. It'd be like, what if you saw like a fucking squirrel on a little cardboard plane with firecrackers in the back of it? You're like, oh, dude, look at that squirrel.
Look at that little fucking squirrel.
Little airplane. Uh-huh.
I say that every time I see a blue jay fuck with the squirrel or the chickens in my yard. I'm like, look at that fucking blue jay. Fucking with things, showing intelligence.
Yeah, look how smart it is. Or it could be drones. Well, I don't know. There's no way we could know the motives or intentions, but I have a few theories.
Well, before you get into your theories, let me put forth a theory to you. These craft are controlled by an artificial intelligence, that there's no biological life form in these craft necessarily. Why could not they be the product of an extremely advanced artificial intelligence?
I'll allow that.
Yeah, if your instrumentation on these ships, which we don't know what they are or how they would work, but like, let's assume if it's from another planet, just for them to be here and still moving around, already they're hundreds, if not thousands of years ahead of us in the whole space game. So you could assume that the instrumentation on these drones are just as sophisticated as the systems by which they fly, which means you wouldn't need anything in there. You wouldn't need to put people or little aliens, you know, whatever. You don't need to put them in there. You can, if you have these like invincible, ultimate moving drones, why would you need boots on the ground? Like, you don't even need to do that.
You guys are almost speaking to each other's points, because if it's that level of artificial intelligence, then why not drones?
That is, I'm agreeing with him.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, there's no reason to put a living creature in there. You know, if you're a little Kleborp, you don't need to get on the fucking spaceship. Our drones will just go handle that.
That's true. And let me tell you another thing. Our United States Air Force has finally come around on the idea that in the future, we will have more unmanned aircraft than piloted aircraft. That's been obvious to anybody with eyes for the last 20 years.
Then what are they going to do with all those cool green jumpsuits and aviator glasses? Well, we just going to throw those away? We just going to put them on a drone?
Yes.
Here's what I think. You posited your idea about the AI in the spaceship. Your theory could work with my theory, but here's what I think they're doing if they are aliens. Because a number of these videos and these photos or whatever, and the stories detail or show or whatever, these fucking aircraft coming out of the water.
I don't want to hear the next thing out of your mouth.
They come out of water, and somebody said they were sent like an unfired missile. A submarine had fired a missile on some test shit. It didn't fire. It was dud. So like, you got to go get that. They go to get it, and fucking something comes up and takes it. It's floating on the water, and the guy's going down there on the fucking ladder to hook up the cables or whatever to the helicopter, and the helicopter pilot's looking down, and he can see something big coming up from the water, and he's like, climb, 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 and something just comes up just below the surface, takes the missile under the water, and it's gone.
Oh, hell no. Oh.
Oh, hell no. Let's put ourselves in their shoes.
I don't want to, but keep talking.
The best way to conquer these people without killing them all, because we need them for whatever the fuck we need them for, if they built some kind of structure that could completely disassemble all of our military hardware, it wouldn't, like, most of our shit relies on electricity. It wouldn't be that hard to shut everything down, you know, like on a global scale for long enough to do whatever the fuck next step is. So if you need to build something on a planet, but you need to do it covertly, they know probably, let's put our tinfoil hats on, that we don't go to the bottom of the ocean. They know less about their ocean than they do about space. So like, this is the perfect place way down there to get a little fob going.
Yeah, here's my theory. I'm kind of building off of both of your guys' stuff, but like, why not interdimensional kaiju shit?
That too.
You mean like Pacific Rim style?
Yeah, like there's a rift down in the bottom of the ocean leading to either a different dimension, or it could just be a wormhole type thing.
That's the plot of that book that I love, Infected, where these people get infected with these weird blue triangles that make them homicidal, paranoid. But then it turns out that the blue things are like, they're biological robots. The author does a good job of like, obviously, I don't know because I'm not a fucking biologist, but I'm assuming he's bullshitting like these chemical processes, but he makes it seem real. You know what I mean? He did his homework for this. And yeah, the little things hatch out of you and they build a gate for the aliens to come invade, and that's how they do it. So if this dumbass author could think of that for his fictional story, do you think a hyper-advanced alien race couldn't think of it?
Well, that's presuming their existence.
By the way, the Infected series is by Scott Sigler.
Scott Sigler.
So he narrated all of his own books, and you can listen to them for free. But I tried to listen to it, and I fucking couldn't get into it.
Infected?
It's a dude written by a dude, hyper masculine.
Yeah, the main character is a former Michigan State football player who's would have gone pro if it weren't for his bum knee.
Has an enormous penis.
That's the implication.
He does cut his dick and balls off by the end of the book.
Self-castration, nice.
Because he gets the little fucking things and they're like telling him to do shit.
Yeah, see,
and
that
he's
is...
like, I'll show you. And he takes chicken scissors and cuts his dick and balls off. Another character in the book is like one of the FBI agents who's like trying to investigate this shit.
And you said this was a good book?
Yeah, it's a good book. And he's like, I first met the kid as he was hopping out of his apartment naked, covered in blood with his fucking jumblies in his hand, for God's sake. His jumblies.
Yeah, that was an actual sentence in an actual book.
Really?
As an adult, I couldn't get into it.
It's not really even that the Infected book is that good. I read it as a kid.
Yeah.
And so it like holds a special place in my heart, which is one of the gayest things I've ever said. But
it's wholesome. It doesn't have to be gay.
But there's the prequel to the trilogy. Did you ever read that one? The Ring of Solomon?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it takes place in like ancient Jerusalem. King Solomon, he was in Jerusalem, right?
Ancient Jewish king, so you do the math.
Speaking of ancient Jewish kings, oh, how about Israel, dude? No one ever told me like what that whole deal is, but here's what I've been seeing. I've been seeing videos of Israeli soldiers doing very bad things. I've been seeing videos that are very disturbing to me. They look like war crimes.
It's a complicated issue. Israel has always felt threatened, and Israel has always felt threatened because it was carved out of Arab land by the United Nations after World War II in compensation for the losses suffered by the European Jewish community as a result of Adolf Hitler's Holocaust. And so they've got a right to be there in terms of their own belief and their own history, but there are 9 million people who control the fate of the world. That's Israel.
But then why are they going into Palestine and kidnapping children and like blocking ambulances and shooting civilians in the back as they run away?
There's no such thing as Palestine. There's a Palestinian enclave, a series of Palestinian communities that are around Israel and that Israel controls. These are known as the occupied territories.
They need to get the fuck out of there. They're slaughtering people there and snatching kids up off the street.
Dad, what did you mean by 9 million people are controlling the fate of the world?
What I'm saying is that there's a population of 9 million people in Israel, and it is the greatest flashpoint in the world. So what Israel does affects everybody on the planet, for better or worse.
Flashpoint?
What do I mean, flashpoint? It means that it is a source of conflict. We, the United States, back Israel pretty much unreservedly. We do that because many Israeli citizens are also U.S. citizens and vice versa. We have a strong pro-Israel lobby that is effective in the United States. And so these 9 million people in Israel get to dictate our policy in the Middle East to a certain extent.
But why, though?
Don't we back other places too? Aren't we cool with other places?
We're cool with other places, but other places don't have nuclear weapons. Israel does. Israel has...
What other places don't have? Who doesn't have nuclear weapons?
It's easier to say who does. The United States has them. Russia has them. China has them. France has them. England has them. North Korea has them. Pakistan has them. India has them. Israel has them. There are your nuclear
Australia
nations.
and Canada, no?
No, they're under our nuclear umbrella.
Do we know that for sure?
Probably.
100% beyond the shadow of a doubt fact.
Probably.
Yes. And how do we know that? We know it by the same way we know that other people have it. When you test nuclear weapons, it creates such a large explosion that it is detectable on earthquake monitors, seismic detectors around the world.
I think it's pretty unhideable to test them, but what if they just don't test them? You know, I think they got it down by now, don't they? There's no more
Not
guesswork,
necessarily.
isn't there?
I mean, you have to have reactors. You have to have...
It's not a simple process to build an atomic bomb. Just a simple fission device is not simple. The Manhattan Project was pretty complicated, dude.
I know it was complicated, but like, obviously it wasn't so complicated that India, Pakistan, China, France, other people clearly got it. The secret clearly got leaked. The recipe's out there. Top governments for sure can like procure that.
Martha Stewart's cookbook is out on Amazon shelves.
You could find it online. I'm sure you could find how to make a nuclear bomb online. You just wouldn't look that up because, you know, you'd be getting a knock on your door.
Well, again, you'd need some pretty sophisticated equipment like centrifuges.
Australia and Canada are incapable of procuring centrifuges.
There's not a country on Earth that can procure the centrifuges needed in sufficient numbers without instantly alerting the Atomic Energy Commission.
It's like you just build them from scratch.
You still got to get the materials from somewhere, right? And all that shit is watched pretty closely, is what Dad's saying. So you can't get shit without somebody noticing.
But the only thing that you couldn't say it wasn't for something else is like uranium or plutonium. Or
you don't know that for sure. You know how if you go and buy a bunch of fucking Instant Pots, you'll get fucking a knock on the door because they'll think you're making bombs?
What are Instant Pots?
They're like crock pots, kind of. Maybe it's crock pots I'm thinking of, but you can make fucking bombs with them.
You can make bombs with anything.
It doesn't matter. They're going to know, Nick. There's not people making fucking nuclear weapons in secret. It's not happening.
Sarah's right. The centrifuges I'm talking about are used to purify uranium into bomb-grade uranium. And you don't just run down to Walmart and pick up that kind of centrifuge.
Dude, like the heads of governments, I'm not saying that they made nuclear bombs. I'm just saying like you guys are acting like it wouldn't be possible for you to sneak that. You totally
It
could.
would be very, very difficult.
So, like, we're not talking about some assholes in their house. We're talking about the heads of governments who have everyone in the country's money at disposal.
Think about this for a second, Nick. I'm the Prime Minister of Canada. Sure, okay. I'm better looking.
Nice ass.
But let's thank you. Let's pretend.
Sure, you did blackface in the 80s, but it's all good.
He got that fat ass.
You liked costumes.
So here I am. I'm the Prime Minister of Canada. Now, I can either spend about 15% of my nation's gross domestic product getting a nuclear weapon together, or I can just trust that America's not insane and I can count on them to provide me with sufficient nuclear protection such that I don't need my own bombs. Now, what am I going to do? Am I going to spend 15% of my own gross domestic product to make sure I have nukes, or am I going to trust my American partner to the South? Well, up until 2016, that was an easy one. I'll just trust my American partner to the South. They haven't let us down. They didn't let us down in World War I. They haven't let us down in World War II. We can rely on them. Countries now don't view us necessarily as a dependable ally. And when we're not viewed as a dependable nuclear power, you know what happens? The potential for nuclear proliferation. Now, there's an argument to be made. Well, the more nukes there are out there, the safer everybody is because nobody wants to use one. But in reality, we all know the fewer nukes that are available to use on one another, the better, because mankind loves using weapons on one another. We love killing each other. We're so good at it.
Oh, say, can you see those early nukes? Canada's nukes.
Oh my God.
And there's nothing you could ever say to convince me otherwise.
We can't convince you of anything ever.
Mexico
You're fucking stubborn as
has
hell.
nukes.
What's your fucking proof for this?
This is a joke. Obviously, I don't think Mexico has nukes, but
I'm so frustrated.
this attribution of stubbornness that you give me is just that I believe something because I've thought very hard about something.
That does not make you right, motherfucker.
Well,
you are not the smartest
prove
person.
me wrong, then. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Show your work. I know that you failed every fucking math class, but show your goddamn work.
I do show my work, and then you call that stubbornness.
You don't show your work for jack shit.
You
just
see what I'm doing right now?
repeat the same
I'm
shit
showing
over
my
and
work.
over. No, you, Dad,
Son,
Dad, Nick's being unreasonable.
son, first of all, put your pants back on. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, have you all heard about the Dune movie that's coming out?
One day, the legend will be born. All of civilization depends on it.
The future. I can see it. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
My Lord Duke.
Where the fear is gone, only I will remain.
Yeah, but it's not related to the book. It's completely unrelated.
It is related.
It's a off-roading buggy documentary.
No, it's related to the series of books Dune, Children of Dune, God, Emperor of Dune, so on.
I've heard such mixed things about those books.
Well, let me reassure you, because I'm rereading Dune right now. And the closest thing I can describe it as is a mix of Game of Thrones and Star Wars. That's
Dope.
what
I've never read or watched Game of Thrones.
Isn't there also like a bunch of
But I've heard
drug
that.
smuggling, spice smuggling?
Yes, it's a rich and inviting universe that draws you in and makes you want to know what is going to happen next. I strongly recommend the first 3 Dune books by Frank Herbert. I guarantee you, you will both love it.
Is there more than 3?
Yes. Frank Herbert wrote several Dune books, and then his son wrote several more. It's widely considered that Frank Herbert, the father, was the real author, and the son was just cashing in on his dead dad's name. But the first 3 books of that series are considered to be absolute classics in the sci-fi and fantasy universe.
Does the 3rd book...
Wrap it up neatly?
Yeah.
I can't remember, kids, because I haven't read these books since I was about 9 years old. And although I was a precocious 9-year-old, I realize now as I'm rereading them, now that I'm a 54-year-old, that there were some things in there that I missed.
Like the whole cult thing?
Like, for example, the whole concept that there is a monastic order of nuns. What do you call that?
A sisterhood.
That there is a sisterhood that...
It's crazy you could think of monastic order of nuns, but not sisterhood. You know what I mean?
It is. But there's this sisterhood that goes around the galaxy seeding different planets with religions, all for the purpose so that if one of their nuns gets caught in a jam, she knows what the local religion is and can capitalize on it. It's really deep.
What do you mean? Gets caught? How do you capitalize?
Well, you know, like if a priest gets caught fucking boys type
They move them to
situation.
another church.
Exactly like that.
So, okay, so if this
Not
sisterhood...
It's not like that at all. No.
Thought it was.
No,
So
it's
if
not like that. No, if, for example, one of their sisters gets caught in a situation where they find themselves suddenly out of power and they have to live off the land, they can go be a religious authority figure and gain power and adherence almost immediately. So they will have support.
Are these different religions they seed on these?
Yes, they're different religions, but they all have basic fundamental tenets that these sisters can immediately plug into and manipulate.
Yeah.
How is that different from what I said?
So they don't believe anything. They don't believe any of these. They don't have a religion themselves. This is all just a fucking play.
Their religion is breeding the human race so that only superior persons reproduce.
Eugenics.
What
Nice.
what do they think superior persons are?
Royalty. They have different bloodlines of humans that they intermarry, and so they're the master manipulators of the galaxy. But then there's the emperor with an imperium, and there are great houses that are battling each other, and there's spice.
Okay, yes, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I like
We're
this.
in.
You're gonna dig it, man.
There's spices.
I'll pick up a copy. Spice is literally a drug. Like, I tried to read it once, and it was like kind of dry, and I was younger and impatient. And
Why?
Dune is a desert planet. Of course, it's going to be dry.
but but anyway, it's been around for so long that in different memes and those kinds of things, that's what I know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been around since the 1960s, but it is a great book. It is one of those books that, because it's written 10,000 years in the future, in some ways like Harrow and Gideon, it's that far in the future.
Yeah.
So you can do anything.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say, kids. Enjoy the fights.
Thanks. Love you. Bye.
Yeah.
Love you. Bye.
Oh, say, can you see my nuclear warheads flying into your ass? Because you need some freedom. America, America.
A Shin Show is a production of Shinfluence. It features the voices and opinions of the Shin family, which are entirely and exclusively their own. Join us each week on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks as always to our regular listeners. We love to hear from you. Please email us at ashinshow@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.